Hey everybody, it's me, Steve Schnee, and you are watching the CD Junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, I'm going to be talking about a group from the UK by the name of FISCHER-Z. They burst upon the scene in the late 70s, and John Watts, the lead singer, songwriter, has been carrying this band ever since and has been creating relevant, emotional, powerful music. And he still releases music today. In fact, the album Triptych just came out this year. And this is the name of the band. If you didn't catch that, they have one of the best logos ever, FISCHER-Z. Now, of course, when I got introduced to this band in 1980, it was for their second album, Going Deaf for a Living, and the song So Long. I became a fan at that moment, so I've been digging this band for nearly 45 years. I discovered that was actually their second album, but I'll go through their albums here in just a few moments. But John Watts, an incredible artist who continues to challenge himself, who doesn't make the same album twice. And while the core of his sound is very John Watts, I mean, when you hear John Watts, you know it's John Watts. But what's going on around him can sometimes be completely different several times per album, or maybe each album is different from each other. But he's continuing to create a body of work that is stunning, that is emotional, that is powerful. You know, back when they put out their first album, which is called Word Salad, they were a very quirky band. Now, I can tell you right now, I'm really surprised that any major label would sign this band because they were not playing the game. Yes, they were quirky. Yes, they had a punk edge. Yes, they had a new wave edge. Yes, they had a keyboard player, but they had a songwriter and a vocalist in John Watts who was smarter than most of his contemporaries. He took the pop that he loved from the 60s and he turned it on its head and created something very, very unique. His voice was also very unique. He would, the best way to describe him is, on one end he sounded like maybe, he sang in the range of like Pete Townsend. Imagine, we people keep it repeating, of that Pete Townsend. But then he would also go really low. So, essentially, he wasn't always singing in a falsetto. He would sometimes get up into falsetto, but his voice had such an incredible range to the point where sometimes you think, from album to album, maybe it was a different singer. But throughout his career, he sort of balanced it out to the point where, he just ended up sounding like nobody else, but sounding very much like John Watts. So much emotion in his voice. The songs were, political. The songs were personal. The songs were emotional, and they still are. He's not an artist that says, I'm going to, keep doing the same thing that I did in 1979. No, he's reinventing himself. He's challenging himself. He's bringing the music along with him. He's not pretending that he's 18, 20, 23 anymore. Yet he's writing better songs than most 18, 20, 23-year-old songwriters today. Incredible. Now, the big problem is the name, okay? And it's not just the name FISCHER-Z. That's FISCHER-Z right there. Of course, when the band first came out and I bought the first album, I was calling him FISCHER-Z because I didn't realize that, the British pronounce Z instead of Z. So I was always calling him FISCHER-Z for probably the first 10 years I was listening to them. But anyway, the name didn't describe the music, but in some ways, just looking at the logo, it kind of does. And they were doing things their way. And here in America, they caught on for the song So Long. And while that album, Going Deaf for a Living, had songs that were just as good as So Long, there wasn't anything in their catalog that was just like that song. And sometimes that's what the radio wants. They want the same thing over and over again. And the fact that he sang in these different voices and the fact that he was writing and challenging and being adventurous on every album, I think Americans mostly, they just wanted that straight ahead pop or rock or new wave. When I say Americans, I'm not talking about the public. I'm talking about more, radio programmers and stuff. They wanted something that can be streamlined and put in a box. It's easy to do that. It's easy to come up with artists that just play the same thing over and over again. And, these bands end up either being successful or not. But it's easier for radio and AOR to package and sell these bands to an audience. And FISCHER-Z didn't play that game. FISCHER-Z did what they wanted. Now, another reason, I guess the second reason why I think that they didn't catch on here in the States, and also they may not be as well known in Europe as they should be, or around the world as they should be, is the fact that John Watts, for the first three albums, they were FISCHER-Z. And, with Going Deaf for a Living, So Long got them in the door here in the U.S. The third album was called Red Skies Over Paradise. Didn't even get released in the U.S., but it was a big record in Europe. And then after that, the band split up. And then John Watts put out 2 albums as a solo artist. And then he grabbed FISCHER-Z's bass player and formed a band called The Cry. And then after The Cry, you didn't hear too much from John for about 2-3 years. Then he reemerged with a new band under the name FISCHER-Z. And then they started recording. And then after about 1995, then all of a sudden, he put the FISCHER-Z name to bed, because essentially, beginning with Reveal, which is the album from 1987, FISCHER-Z was John Watts and a bunch of talented musicians. So after the album Stream in 1995, he decided to change and go back to a solo career, but under the name J.M. Watts instead of John Watts. So that was a little confusing. So you already had FISCHER-Z, then John Watts, then The Cry, then FISCHER-Z, then J.M. Watts. But no, let's mess things up a little bit here. Let's put out a couple albums under the name Watts. So he went from FISCHER-Z to John Watts to The Cry to FISCHER-Z to J.M. Watts to Watts, and then back to John Watts, and then back to FISCHER-Z, then back to John Watts, and then back to FISCHER-Z, and he's FISCHER-Z again. And for probably the last 5 or 6 albums, he's been FISCHER-Z. But it's incredible. I say that lighthearted about all the name changes, but it does confuse people, because if people want to hear this incredible songwriter by the name of John Watts, they have to go into 7 or 8 different sections of the store. They got to go to F for FISCHER-Z, and then W for Watts, and W for John Watts, and all that kind of stuff. And don't forget to go to the C to get The Cry. But this is an artist that is so, so worth your time. I've done videos on John Watts, and I wish more people in Europe, in America, everywhere would pay attention to this guy, because he's always going to surprise you in wonderful ways, because everything he puts out is just filled with these songs. He's not walking through and just knocking off a bunch of songs so he could sell records or sell concert tickets or sell T-shirts. He's writing because this stuff is coming from the heart, it's coming from the soul, and you can hear it in the music, whether it's the big production of an album like Reveal, or if it's the raw, stripped down sound of Real Life is Good Enough. And I'm just going to stop talking. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through the catalog. I'll show you these CD covers, and I'll just quickly go through chronologically, so you'll see the FISCHER-Z and the John Watts, etc., etc., etc. And then I will be back, and then I'll play you some music. So check these albums out. Some of the stuff is available on vinyl, so if you're out, flipping through the bins and you come across these on record, if that's the format you prefer, please, by all means, snap it up. This is an artist worth your time. So sit back, relax, give this a look, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, the first album, Word Salad, came out in 1979, and that had a few UK hits. The album Going Deaf for a Living from 1980, this is the one that sort of made their mark in the US. The single So Long got played on a lot of new wave radio stations. Red Skies Over Paradise from 1981, this is the album that really sold well for them in Europe. and this is sort of what put them on the map over there. Then, of course, he split up the band and put out the album One More Twist in 1982. Lots of great material. The Iceberg Model came out in 1983, another solo album. And that's a wonderful album itself. There's also The Cry. He formed a band called The Cry with the bass player from FISCHER-Z, and that came out in 1984. And then he reformed FISCHER-Z for 1987's Reveal. And again, that became popular in Europe. Fish's Head from 1989. FISCHER-Z, Fish's Head, you know, it rhymes. Anyway, Destination Paradise, this was a monumental album, 1992. They almost reinvented themselves, or at least John Watts did. Really a fantastic album. More acoustic-based. Kamikaze Shirt came out in 1993. Another fine collection of songs, a mixture of sort of modern dancey stuff and more rock stuff. Stream, this was co-produced by Pete Glenister. He's best known for collaborations with Kirsty MacColl, but he was also the guitar player for the Hitmen. That was a great album, too. This is the first album. This is under the name, the first and only album under the name J.M. Watts, called 13 Stories. Big Beach Poetry came out under the name Watts. And that's a great modern sounding album for 1999. Spiritual Headcase was kind of remixes of the songs off of Big Beat Poetry, showing he was constantly moving forward. Ether from 2002, another great collection of songs, sort of a John Watts album and a FISCHER-Z album. And let me see here. This was a 2 CD best of that sort of compiled the best of the albums that I just showed you. And that's a great place to start. Any FISCHER-Z compilation is a great place to start, but this one's career encompassing, including some solo stuff as well. Great collection. Real Life is Good Enough is a great 2 CD set. It's really basic. It's him and his guitar with very few extra instruments, and it sounds raw and very, very emotional. And it comes with 2 different booklets in there, lyrics and all that information. A really, really fantastic set. It Has to Be came out in 2007, sort of a sequel to the previous album. These people each made donations, and he wrote a song about each of their lives. Very fascinating. More Than Music was a multimedia presentation, and this is just the audio, of course, but he had videos to go along with it. And FISCHER-Z was an album by John Watts, and it's him redoing songs from the catalog in, you know, sort of how he sounded in 2011. 2015, he went back to the name FISCHER-Z, and this album is called This Is My Universe. Comes with a live DVD. I don't know if this version's still available, if this was the only version, but it's a great album and a great live set as well. The next album was 2017's Building Bridges, and great collection of songs. He's constantly moving forward. Swimming in Thunderstorms came out in 2019, proving once again that he was still relevant, still an amazing songwriter. Till the Oceans Overflow, this was a sequel to the Red Skies Over Paradise album, the 40th anniversary, I suppose. And this was a re-recording of the Red Skies Over Paradise album, but I don't own it. I've been searching. I really have. Triptych from 2024, another incredible collection. He continues to move forward and try different things, always surprising the listeners, always amazing the listeners, even after 45 years. Now, that's a lot of releases. I hope I didn't confuse you too much, but those are the studio albums that I own. There might be a live release or two, and then, of course, there's CD singles and vinyl singles, and then there's several other compilations that I don't have because I think pretty much I have everything on the discs I just showed you. But I'm not going to keep you in suspense any longer. I've put together a medley. This is not a complete medley. This isn't all FISCHER-Z's hits. This isn't all John Watts' best songs. This is a medley of snippets of songs that I thought people would enjoy. These are in chronological order. I don't have songs from every album. I skipped a lot of songs I truly love. I just wanted to make this and hopefully inspire you to check out the music of John Watts and FISCHER-Z. So sit back, relax, give this a listen, and I will see you on the other side.
Why didn't you tell me? Not leave me this way. Oh, you should have told me. Not waited for so long. My knees. The waiting almost brought me to my knees. On my knees. You didn't really think that I'd leave you in peace. And now it's time to wake up. Oh, see. And now it's time to wake up. Oh, see. One voice. One voice. Something I know, please don't tell me something I know. I open my mouth, I try to speak. You come for a day and you stay for a week. Something I know, please don't tell me something I know. I open my mouth, I try to speak. Mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, the time for changing has begun. Mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, you must shape the things to come. I'm going out. I'm coming back again. Will you be there by my side? Now I've been told that I'm naive, betraying queen of misery as well. But I think war should be between those fighting men and their machines, that's all. Further, I won't be left behind. What a shame. It's not a question of time. I can't afford to dream about the peaches and green. Turn back the clock, 'cause I'm in your hands. Turn back the clock, I think you understand. Turn back the clock, I want you to come home. Oh, turn back the clock, 'cause I'm in your hands. Turn back the clock, I think you understand. Are you real? How does it feel? Are you real? How does it feel? When the mood's got too strong, I simply turn my stereo on. When the bills are bought up high, I turn my radio up and fly. When the hearts are broken down, I go for coffee in the town. I never own a jukebox, but I thought about it. So cider splattered, yellow lines, a real expensive glass of wine, and the buskers shouting one more time. Oh, what a time to live. Oh my God, Armageddon, time to screw another head up. Now's the time, make up your mind, someone else make mine. Oh my God, situation. Saving the world with the power of education. Saving the world must be the cause of every nation. You have a voice, you have a choice, so choose. The river's like our music. When you hear it, it's gone by. But the river never falters. The river won't ask why. The beat is gone. Slowly slipped away. The beat is gone. I don't know what to say. Don't hear my words. Not listening to the song. The beat is gone. Oh, it's the same old story. Ring out the cliched song, choked up in hope and glory. But where have all the good guys gone? Where have all the good guys gone?
Well, that's it. I hope this inspires you to check out the music of John Watts, FISCHER-Z, The Cry, Jan Watts, Watts, and whatever other band. Did I say The Cry? Yeah. I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, to ring that bell for future notifications. And until the next time, remember me. I'm Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie.